Welcome back, everybody, to DRL TV. My name is Ryan Branch, and I'm joined alongside Martin Wenzel tonight for the Phoenix 156 at ISM Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. This is the DRL Cup Series. This is the final race in the regular season for the Dynasty Racing League. This is the last round of the playoffs. We don't have much driving left here in this season. Next week at Homestead will be the final race of the season to decide the championship. We are about to take the green flag here as Caden Honeycutt holds the pole position just ahead of Anthony Burrows. Caden Honeycutt gets off to a very quick start.
Yeah, Hunter Johnson, also good start. Hunter Johnson going to start too, right into the rear of Wade Husted.
So we got a Caden Honeycutt in first, Wade Husted just behind him in the number 32, but Hunter Johnson in the 98 in that Lowe's car down to the inside of the 32 of Husted. Hunter Johnson looks like he's trying to make a charge towards the front. As we pull up these point standings here, guys, we have Anthony Burrows sitting in first. Wade Husted, with the only win so far in this round of the playoffs, sits in second place, already has locked himself into that next round at Homestead. Thomas Harmon sits in the third position, 38 points back of the leader, and then Hunter Johnson in fourth, 39 points back of the leader. So, Martin, it's looking like tonight we got a really tight race between Hunter Johnson and John Theodore. The best finisher from tonight is going to move on into that race.
John Theodore started fourth and swapped positions right off the start with Hunter Johnson. Johnson got a great shot, great start, right into the rear end of the third place car. But he was able to get around John Theodore pretty quickly, setting himself up for a good run right away.
So if you guys, we had some changes last week in these in this playoff setting, as you guys see there on your screen. Dustin Musial hasn't done so well throughout this round. Chad Presnell, after just a couple laps last week, actually bowed out of that race. And then Mike Springer, after some unfortunate luck, did not do very well in last week's race. So it really has come down to this week is literally just going to be a fight between Thomas Harmon in the 68, the 98 of Hunter Johnson, and the 89 of John Theodore, all within a point of one another. And that's really where the battle is, to see who the top four cars are going to be going into Homestead next week to capture a championship. I want to welcome a very special guest this evening. David Wellborn Jr. has typically raced in these Cup races throughout the season. He's that beautiful, I believe, number 96 car we see week in and week out. David Wellborn, welcome to the broadcast, sir, as this first caution flag flies.
Well, I'll let y'all take care of the caution and I'll make some introductions there.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. I'm not seeing it where it was.
It looks like Josh Mayhew.
Yeah, that looks like it too.
Go down here and see if we can watch that back. The number 61 of Josh Mayhew. I think he ended up getting a little bit loose. We'll go back and try to catch the replay here.
Yeah, the 44 kind of... It actually was just kind of a chain reaction. 44 and the 22 got into each other. And the 82, Chris James had to check up, and 61 got into his rear end, and the 4 gave him a nice shot.
Here we see just ahead of Josh Mayhew, the 44 of David Wright gets turned sideways, gets a little bit slow in front of the 82 of Chris James, and Josh Mayhew completely loses the car. The 4 taps him in the rear end. Joshua Wakefield in the 35 able to avoid that wreck completely, but Josh Mayhew does back up into that inside wall, takes a little damage in the rear of the car, but I don't think that's going to be anything that completely ruins a car for the rest of tonight's race. We have definitely seen worse, especially here at Phoenix. Very fast speeds these cars carry down the straightaways and on this track, and in the corners, I mean, it's very easy to lose control of the vehicle going around the corners here at Phoenix. So good on Josh Mayhew to keep a hold of the vehicle after being turned. And minor wreck, but these guys are going to be able to come in, collect some pit stops, and get right back out on the track.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of guys coming down pit road right away. John Theodore, Thomas Harmon staying out.
Yeah, so Theodore now capturing that first position. Bonus points are going to be a big factor tonight. John Theodore wanted to capture that bonus point for leading a lap. He's not going to allow Thomas Harmon to do the same, so maybe a mistake on Harmon's part in the 68, but he is one of those drivers. Again, I'll pull the point standings up one more time. Harmon, Hunter Johnson, John Theodore competing 1 point apart from one another, 39, 39, and 38 points back at the lead. This means a lot to John Theodore. He joined the season late. he is in contention here, getting ready to go into Homestead next week. These three drivers, I mean, I know this has to mean a lot to him, Martin. David, you were in or you were in the running there for a while. I know you made the second round of the playoffs. What does it mean to be in the final race of the playoffs here at the Dynasty Racing League?
Well, you know, to tell you the truth, I've never made it that far except for in the Winter Series. I did finish third in the Winter Series. But for me, if I had made it this far and was still in the playoffs, man, my feet would be jumping up and down on the gas pedal. I would be so nervous to be out there racing against these gentlemen that I'd probably end up wrecking just for being so nervous. But to be on a championship bid here of late, you got to give your hats off to these gentlemen who have stuck it out through the whole season.
Yeah, definitely not easy. Competition has gotten very, very stiff throughout the season as John Theodore takes that green flag. Pace car drops down pit road. Theodore to the inside. Thomas Harmon matching him, speed for speed, as Harmon heads to the outside of turn 1. Wade Husted just on the back end of the 89
and that's going to take the 37 turns Thomas Harmon, and 37 pace for it, and that takes Mike Springer and Chris James. Josh Mayhew gets into Mike Springer, it looks like, as well.
So out of all the drivers in the field right now, Thomas Harmon paying dearly for that one. Harmon is in the running for these playoffs. That was a very, very crazy start. David, you were just saying, I mean, things are running hot for these guys right now. Tempers have flared. These guys are putting everything they've got into it. Harmon dropped high, and the 37 of Honeycutt, it looked like got in the back of him. We're going to see right here as Honeycutt comes up to the rear. The 68 of Harmon taps him in the left rear of the car.
Just not enough patience.
Yeah, the 37 really has to be super patient tonight. He is a very good driver. He's proven himself towards the end of this season, but he needs to be very careful. Looks like Harmon was able to avoid any more contact. So the only damage the 68 took was in that back left rear quarter panel. He will have an opportunity to stay on the lead lap, get back into this race, and show what he has. But that's already given an instant advantage to Hunter Johnson, who sits second, and John Theodore, who sits in the 7th spot right now.
Well, you know, I believe they'll get that fixed, 90% of that. It doesn't look that bad on the back end of him. But, you know, Caden Honeycutt's really fast, and if he had made it into this championship run, he would be up here as a contender with, you know, Wade Husted, Anthony Burrows, and the gentlemen alike. But he's going to have to learn some patience if he's going to continue on to next season. He might want to take some time to learn some patience here in our Winter Series. It's just, you know, you can't do that and take out somebody who's running here for a championship bid.
Well, that's just it. We see this with some of the other guys that are not as good as Honeycutt, and the complaints are, hey, you might take out a playoff driver. And then in the case of Honeycutt, he's a guy that's a playoff caliber driver, not in the playoffs, and now he's kind of dashed, you know, really made it hard for a guy like Mike Springer. He got caught up in that. And obviously Thomas Harmon. And yeah, it's like Harmon and Theodore in front of him, and there's a little gap there. And Wade Husted looked like he was going to try. They were both going to try to sneak in there, it looked like. But at that point, it's like maybe just, you know, take it easy, let it get to a point where you can make the pass cleanly, because of course you're going to be able to get past John Theodore and Thomas Harmon on those fresh tires. But that was just pushing it too quickly there on the restart.
I mean, we're only 12 laps in of 156. You definitely need to exercise a little more patience as the 37 car there. Take things easy. You have proven yourself as a playoff caliber driver, but you don't need to be up there running for wins. Caden Honeycutt has now stepped out of the car. Mike Springer, kind of got the bad end of the stick last weekend. Mike Springer has also stepped out of the car. So we now have only 12 drivers left in this race. Some tempers have definitely flared. Mike Springer can't be happy with the end to his season. Again, he stepped out of the car. Caden Honeycutt may or may not, you know, depending on how race control called it. I don't know exactly how it turned out, but we haven't seen somebody get moved to the back of the field here. I think race control deemed that on the 37. And again, you know, you want to come in here, you want to race with these Dynasty Racing League drivers, you want to be a part of this league, you really do have to exercise patience, whether you belong up towards the front or not. We're only 12 laps in. We've got 156 laps to go. You've got over, you know, 90% of the race remaining, there's no need to be driving like this early in the race, and you just gotta, you know, let it come to you over time.
Well, I see that Chad Fresnel's got some damage out of that as well.
Yeah, his front end is damaged.
Is he, how far is he out of the points for?
Yeah, I mean, if he has a really good finish.
He's 56 points back. Again, John Theodore, Thomas Harmon, and Hunter Johnson, I think, is what it boils down to this week. It would take something catastrophic for one of those drivers not to win. We did see John Theodore. He stuck out there. He did get that lap led during that last caution. That's all he has to worry about for the rest of the race. At this point, John Theodore needs to keep things consistent. If there's a way to stay out, if we go green here and collect the most laps led throughout the race, that's an option for somebody to get some bonus points. But as far as keeping the car clean now, you've already got Thomas Harmon, who's not going to get that bonus point for keeping the car clean. So John Theodore has 2 legs up on him at this point in the race, and Mark Johnson, or Hunter Johnson, has 1 leg up on him at this point in the race. You know, Thomas Harmon needs to be very careful and make sure he finishes in front of both of those other drivers.
So the only way Fresnel can get in is he has to win here tonight, correct?
Yeah,
Fresnel needs to win tonight. Any of the drivers outside of the top 5 have to win here tonight in order to make it into that final race at Husted.
Well,
he's pushing.
Yeah, he is.
He's pushing Burrows.
And I've seen him do it.
Fresnel's been very quick. You know, in recent weeks, we talked about a time in and time out how Fresnel makes very minor mental errors. He's a very good driver. He practices with that 32 car, Wade Husted, who you see has 8 wins so far in this Cup Series. He is the only driver locked into Homestead next week. They're partners. They race together every week. They practice together every week, and Chad Fresnel is always 1 step behind him. But Fresnel, it's the minor mental errors that killed the 55, and hopefully he can come out here and correct this tonight. Get himself in front of a few of these guys and maybe capture a victory here at Phoenix and sneak his way into these playoffs.
Are you seeing damage on his front end? Because I don't think he is damaged. It's gone away now.
Let's go to the rear chase here. We're gonna flip to Chad Fresnel. I see no damage. I did see a
I had his whole.
I felt like a few minutes ago. It is.
I had his whole front end missing, but so he must not have had any damage actually. So he's got a clean car, or pretty clean car at least. Let me check on incidents here. He does have four incidents points, so he did get involved in something. But he's running right there with those top 4 guys. Going back to Caden Honeycutt on that restart, it's like he knows he has a good car. He had the fastest time in practice, nearly a 27-second flat time. And, you know, that's about 3/10 or 300ths of a second faster than Burrows and Husted. So he didn't really need to push it there, and I think he just got a little too excited, and unfortunately that's going to damage some guys' chances.
Yeah, I mean, the major question there is did he need to push it like he did? I don't know how I feel about the way that restart panned out.
Well, you know, we can always sit back in armchair, you know, but it's over with now. There's nothing we can do about it. Slap 20 into a 256 run. These gentlemen are doing an awesome job out here tonight, with the exception of that one little incident. I think we're going to have a really good showing out here. It's going to really come down to these first 4 drivers, like you say, that's in the top. And Hunter Johnson is hungry. You know, he's somebody I've raced against with, and I know that man's hungry. It's just like Caden Honeycutt. He wants to get out there in front. He wants to get them 5 bonus points away from Wade Husted. And he's making his move now.
As Hunter Johnson heads to the inside of the 32, I am going to go down to the track and grab Mike Springer, who was involved in that last incident, thanks to the 37 to Honeycutt, and see how Springer's feeling. He was kind of eliminated after last week. Didn't stand much of a chance going into this week, as, again, he needed to come out here and capture a victory. But I want to hear Mike Springer's thoughts on exactly what he's out to find out there tonight. Mike Springer, you got a copy, sir?
Yeah, how's it going, man?
Hey, pretty good. You know, the odds of you coming away, you know, having a chance at Homestead at the end of this season were not very likely. You did need to come out of here and get a win, it feels like, at Phoenix. But exactly what happened down there on the track, and do you feel like there's anything you could have done to avoid it?
I don't know if I could have done anything to avoid it. I mean, besides just having smarter drivers around us. I mean, I was a boneheaded move. But other than that, I don't know. It's just frustrating. Lap 9. Like, just let it sort out. You have newer tires, go buy them one by one.
Yeah, so the move you were talking about, I assume, is the 37 of Honeycutt?
Yeah, the guy, I heard he races in ARCA. Like, really? Not impressed.
Yeah, he's an aggressive driver. I feel like he comes here to the DRL, feels like, you know, he's got the on-track experience and maybe pushes the car a little harder than necessary because he feels like he should be out there running out front. But we do have proven drivers here at the DRL. You yourself have been around for, I think, close to a year, if not over a year now. And we appreciate all the time you spent in the Dynasty Racing League. Did you feel like you had something to maybe capture a victory here tonight at Phoenix or not?
Honestly, I had about 10 laps of practice all week. This is the first time I saw the track all week, so I was just gonna do about 75 laps and kind of work with it and then go from there. But yeah, I was gonna be fine. I mean, I was staying back on purpose just to, one, stay out of the way, get to the end, and then just kind of see what my tires were gonna do after about 30 laps.
Well, I know you stepped out of the car, decided to call it quits for tonight. Are you gonna be back next week at Homestead to at least give it one last hurrah before we head into the Winter Series?
Yeah, dude, I'll be at Homestead. I plan on racing again next year. I plan on having VR and a whole different cockpit and all that stuff. So right now I'm pretty primitive on my setup, so we'll see if I get faster.
I feel the same way. We got Black Friday heading in here soon. Hopefully we can get a little equipment upgrade. I know the Oculus Rift is on sale for $50 off at a lot of places.
I'm getting the Odyssey Plus for $300 here on the 18th.
I know Fanatec has a sale every Black Friday.
Oh, the auctions right now, actually. You know, you just reminded me the auction's going on right now.
Well, if you're gonna buy Oculus, I cannot praise it enough.
Oh no, the Samsung, man. No more screen door effect.
I don't get a screen door effect.
Yeah, that's been the big problem with most of them. But yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna go with the Samsung and just $300. You can't beat the price.
Well, I can't wait to see you back next season, Mike. I know.
Yeah, I'll be there. Get some wins, hopefully.
Yeah, I think you somewhat. We talked about you early in the season as that you were kind of the outlier. You were the guy who ran that high line. You ran a different line than everybody else. And you kind of made your way into the season. You changed things up, and you were always consistently there in the top 5. And I hope you come back next year and you can compete for wins, not just top 5. So
I will. I raced in real life too, Legends and stuff, and I couldn't wreck my stuff, or else I couldn't race next week. So I just do that in iRacing. Same mentality. Just don't wreck so you can race next week, basically. Right. So it's I just have fun with it, guys. You guys do an awesome job. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks for at least giving it an attempt here at Phoenix, and we'll see you next week at Homestead, man. Have a wonderful evening.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, there's the driver I like. That's the kind of driver I like in DRL where, you know, season doesn't go the way he wants it. This is leaves a bad taste in his mouth after this race, but he's going to come back next week and race Homestead because it's great racing either way. And, you know, that's what a guy like Caden Honeycutt's even doing out there to begin with. He's not in the playoffs, but he's racing because he likes to race. And these guys that have showed up and they're not in the playoffs, that's what makes these races fun, because if it's just the 4 guys showing up for Homestead that are racing for Homestead, it's not going to be much fun to watch or race.
I mean, that's what we all come out here for every week, and he talked about it right there. The reason you do come out every week, the guy races Legends in real life, and he's got to keep his car clean, because who's got 50 grand laying around to fix the car that they just fucking destroyed? You know what I mean? So big difference in NASCAR. It's even more of a difference. These cars we're watching on the track right now, you're talking $120,000 to go out there and replace the car that's on the track, and that doesn't include all the internal parts that you have to swap from one vehicle to another. That's just the body and the roll cage and all of that you have to deal with. So,
well, I think Jordan Gonzalez shared a video. They were interviewing the race marshal or whoever it is who takes care of everything on iRacing, and he was like, back before iRacing was even a thing. It's like these leagues, what they did was they had the points and everything and there was some money on hand or whatever, virtual money or whatever it is, and if you damaged your car the week before, you had to spend some of that virtual money or some of those points. That's sort of how you got that safety rating idea in iRacing. And it's not something we have in the league, but maybe it's something we might look at, and, you know, that might help some drivers pull back and realize, hey, maybe I don't want to stick it in there and try to make it 4 wide, because that's going to damage my car, my chances of race next week.
We did that at NTR for a year with the virtual money, and you know, it makes a big difference. You can get sponsorship in virtual money as well. But I mean, it really comes down to you get so much for each position when you're racing, and then you got so much to start with, and you got to take care of your money. If you don't win, you basically are not making any money. But if you tear your car up, you can't race the next week because you still got to replace it. If you blow a motor, that's $35,000 right there in virtual money, and you got to start over again. So, yeah, it would pay out to do something like that. Maybe give it a whirl here at Dynasty Racing League.
Yeah, we've been pretty clean lately, though.
Yeah, as iRacing implements more features and things like that, hopefully we can get career seasons or things, you know, sponsorship season or team racing season, something in that, you know, that nature where real life factors come into hand and sponsorships matters, and there's only so many that go around throughout the league based on finishing position and or whether they right now this year we do have the bonus points that will affect that as far as keeping the car clean. As you know, 0 incident points, which is not always the easiest to do, even if you get caught up in somebody else's stuff. But the big story again here tonight, Hunter Johnson, who currently runs in the 3rd position. You guys can see him here. He started in 5th tonight, currently runs in 3rd. He sits right now, he sits 4th in these point standings. If we go back just behind him in the number 6 position, that is John Theodore in the 89. He started in the 4th spot, so he's back 2 spots. Dustin Musial just making the pass on the inside in that 22 Bud Light car, just behind him in those points. And then Thomas Harmon, who sits 7th, he's only about, I don't know, a second off of John Theodore. So, I mean, Thomas Harmon, obviously 1 point up on these 2 guys. If he finishes 1 point behind him, we're going to have a 3-way tie going into 5th place. And then it's going to come down to what really matters as far as how many races have they won during this, or what the best finishing position throughout this series of the playoffs. That's what it comes down to. Who finished better? There's a 2-way tie for that 4th and 5th spot. Who finished better throughout the playoffs? That's what it's really going to come down to. And right now, I feel like it's Thomas Harmon in the number 68.
Well, Chris James is going to have a real bad night because he just blew up going around the track, and he's just barely making it down pit road. So he's out for the night, or at least he's going to spend another 40 minutes on pit road.
Yeah, that 82
yeah, he got
car.
caught. He was involved in both of the yellows in one way or another. Got really caught up though in the second one, where I think he got really slammed into the side of Mike Springer.
He did slam into the side of the number 12 car there. The only car who's really out of it right now, excuse me, is the 35 of Joshua Wakefield, as he runs very far behind the rest of this pack. David Wright in the 44 sits in 10th currently. He started in the 9th spot. He is about 14 seconds back of the lead. Jim Westerfield, the number 4 car, we saw him at the very end of the tail end of that first caution flag. He sits in 9th. Josh Mayu, who started 12th in the 61, solo spun on that very first caution flag to bring that one out. He sits in the 8th spot now, still on the lead lap. And then again, Thomas Harmon, who started 6th, he runs in the 7th position right now.
I just wish I'd have made it through Talladega. I probably would have been up here with you gentlemen, with these boys out here racing.
Yeah, Talladega, definitely one of those tracks. I feel like even in the truck series when we ran here, it was a matter of who got in and who got out together. I was running at the tail end of that. I kind of went with Weatherholtz. Some stuff happened towards the very end of that race, but at least we got to stay up with the lead pack. Martin, you yourself, you kind of came in on the very end of pit road. You did fine in the pits, and then you pulled out and for whatever reason lost the draft and ended up getting completely screwed in that race. So I know that was a big bore for you, but that just goes to show how completely different a track like Talladega is compared to something like Phoenix or tonight.
There's 3 reasons why I didn't show up here tonight. 1, my steering wheel's not even hooked up and plugged in. 2, I'm still installing software. And 3, I don't want to be a caution or a wreck or harm anybody from winning a championship. So it was just in my best interest to see about popping in and do a little bit of broadcasting. Y'all know how much I love to broadcast.
Yeah, that's we obviously we appreciate all the work you do here with the Dynasty Racing League. Thank you so much for everything you put in, David. I know you're always there to call on, at least when you're not sick, that is, to show up and broadcast at a moment's notice. Thank you to all the viewers who tuned in here tonight. I think we have 25 people watching this evening. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. Had a few comments. Let's see here. We got Honeycutt changing lanes maybe by weather holds. I don't know if we noticed that, but possibly changed the lane prior to the start and finish line, which would be a penalty here in the Dynasty Racing League on that restart where he got into Harmon. Ryan Hesgard says he thinks he crossed the line first, so that might be Harmon maybe crossing the line prior to the leader, who I think at the time was the 89 of John Theodore, so maybe Harmon jumped the start at the beginning of that. So thank you again to everybody who's tuned in watching here tonight. We're now up to 27 viewers. It wouldn't be DRL TV if it wasn't for all you guys who tune in every Tuesday night and Wednesday night, Monday night, whatever other nights we broadcast. And we got the Pro Series going on Sundays. Thank you guys for showing up and watching. Wade Husted and Anthony Burrows are going at it up here in the 1 and 2 position right now.
Well, you know, if it's not for our viewers, like I always say, we'd be sitting here talking to ourselves. So, yeah, we do greatly appreciate anyone who shows up at Dynasty Racing League DRL TV and spends their afternoons watching their favorite drivers go around these tracks. And like I say, they do a lot for us behind the scenes, the drivers do. And you know, we've got admins that do a lot. So it's just a big hats off and a thank you for the drivers, for the people who spend the time to come out here and watch their favorite driver go around the track. You know, we got so many Spencer Tart fans. I think about 80% of our viewers on the nights that he runs is Spencer Tart fans.
Yeah, Spencer Tart definitely has a big following in that truck series. They show up to watch him there every week. He had a very good week last week, so glad he's going to be able to fight into the next round. That's awesome to see. The truck series was delayed 1 week, so they're going to fall a week behind both the B cars and the A cars. But right now, Wade Husted and Burrows is just, I don't know, man. It's every week. I can't stand it. David, I know you're normally racing and you don't get to watch these guys do what they do, but I'll tell you what, it's unreal. They've got a 3-second gap on the 98 of Hunter Johnson. Just behind him is Chad Presnall, only half a second back, and then John Theodore about 6 seconds back of him. So right now, I mean, Husted and Burrows are in a league of their own.
Well, what really surprises me about these gentlemen is both of them, Wade Husted and Anthony Burrows. I've been in both of their cars. They are downshifting at both ends of the track. If I tried that, I'd be eating the fence.
Yeah, typically we see that downshift coming out of 4. We've seen it historically, especially later in the runs, not necessarily early in the runs when you have a little bit more tire grip, but definitely early in the runs. Both ends of the track has not always necessarily happened. That might be the track conditions that are occurring here tonight, or maybe just the package that's changed throughout Phoenix this year has caused them to want to downshift in that turn 2 exit. But I don't know. Typically, you only see it at the end of Phoenix.
Well, he was definitely downshifting. Wade Husted was in his qualifying run. He's downshifting in the sliding powerhouse and sliding it all the way up to the wall and then turning hard to the left. So, I mean, it really surprised me at how hard he was getting on the gas and going through third gear, going to both ends of the track. I just knew he was going to blow the engine or hit the wall one.
Well, again, we talked about, you know, Anthony Burrows just a few minutes ago, catching up to Husted and able to, you know, keep this gap between them and keep them so close to one another. But Burrows is not going to get this pass easily, and I don't think Husted's going to give it to him before these guys are going to have to come down and grab a green flag pit stop. How many laps do you think they have an opportunity to run here? I know we saw, what was it, last night in those B cars, they could go about 65 to 70 laps before they really had to come down and get a pit. Do you think they'll be able to do the same here tonight?
I do. I really do. They can't make it on one stop, that's for sure. But we just saw Husted and Anthony Burrows get loose and lose a couple of tenths of a second on Husted, but it didn't take him a half a lap, and he's caught right back up to him. So I think Anthony Burrows is just sitting there waiting for his pit stop so that he can really come in and start doing some good running.
Yeah, we've seen that from the 62 throughout the year. He tends to bide his time. He doesn't, you know, obviously he's always running as aggressive as possible, but he doesn't overpush the car and try to overdrive it until it's really go time. Those last 10, 15 laps before he really pushes the vehicle and gives the tires everything they've got until he can't hold on to the car anymore. But I think we're 55 in out of 156. I think right now they have about 48 laps on their tires, so lap 7 or 8 is when these top drivers really exchange those tires out. At least Husted, Burrows, Hunter Johnson, and Chad Presnell, the top 4 drivers on the track. John Theodore, who currently runs 5th, did get to pit on that second caution, so he's about 4 laps fresher, but they all will be able to make it just on one more pit stop. I think, you know, if they can push it to about lap 90 or so, I think that they can make it the end of the race. The question is, do they have the fuel to go that far?
That is a big question, and I did forget about the pit stop on the 9th lap, but, you know, they're at 50 laps now. They're going to have to go another, what, 32 more laps? I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, the car's already getting loose. Martin, I know you had a little bit of a chance. I think you ran NIS here this week. What's it like out there on 30-lap old tires?
You just got to back up the corners. Just got to take it a little bit easier. But if you know how to do it, you can gain positions and pass everyone else because they're going to be struggling. But with the way these guys drive, it's, you know, they're just going to stick right on top of each other because there's not a huge talent gap between a Husted and a Burrows and a Johnson. I mean, they're going to figure it out. They're going to drive those tires, but you definitely need to slow down going into the turn so you don't go and eat that wall.
The weird thing I seen, so I saw it last night. Right now, the 62, you see them employ it every time they go through the 3 and 4. So Burrows enters a little bit higher in 1 and 2, but he still gets down to that yellow line just like the 3208 Husted. But if anybody watched last night's race here at DRL TV, you had Getty Buckner. He started on the pole position. He ran out in front for a majority of the race. Ryan Hesgaard was able to, I think, grab that victory last night, was able to overcome him. But Getty Buckner in the number 10 car, he ran a higher line through 3 and 4 than anybody else did all night long, and he made it work for him. And if you watch the 62 of Burrows, he was running that same line that last time by. So I don't know if Burrows just has that in the back pocket, is trying to save a little bit of tires. I know at the beginning of last night's race, it was probably 30 laps in before Getty Buckner started to give up time to the number 2 car. So the 2 caught him late in the runs, but it seemed as if Getty Buckner was saving tires better than the number 2 car. So maybe Buckner didn't have 1 and 2 figured out as good as Ryan Hesgaard did. I'm not sure, but it really seemed like turn 3 and 4, Buckner was able to make up a lot of time in that corner by taking a higher line. And that's what we've seen Burrows do throughout the night so far. And we'll see if he continues that moving forward, see if he's able to save the tires a little better than Wade Husted. Maybe towards the very tail end of this run, he can make up some time on him and maybe take that position.
Yeah, that gap between those 2 and Hunter Johnson, up to 5 seconds. Hunter Johnson 5 seconds behind Burrows.
All right, we got our first taker, Mayu, coming in. And I'm sitting here trying to do the math. I think if they make it to 75, they can do it. That's my calculations, anyway.
What is that, David? How many laps?
I think if they can make it to lap 75, they'll be able to make it to the end because they'll still have just a little bit more fuel left in the tank.
Well, 75 will give them, what, another 81 laps to go? I think that's really going to be pushing. I don't know what they have as far as fuel is concerned. I think 70 laps or so is about what they've got as far as a fuel run goes. So either somebody's going to have to come in right now and follow the trend that Josh Mayu started here by coming in to grab those fresh tires and a tank of fuel, or we're going to see these guys push it to about lap 85 or so.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, you know, everybody come down on that first caution. So they topped off. And It's going to be close. It's anywhere between 75 and 80. So if they make it between 75 and 80, I think they can do it.
Now we have the 89 of John Theodore also coming
John Theodore already coming in.
pit. Josh Mayu with a very good pit stop, just over 14 seconds. Now the 89 is also going to come down and pit. We've known John Theodore, so he joined the Cup Series late in this season. We know he's running very well here tonight. Obviously, he was running about the 10th spot when he pulled in to come down for this pit stop. Not as well as he wished he could be doing. Does a 14.65 down in the pits, but Theodore has taken some chances as far as pit strategy goes. So short pitting this time, maybe hoping for a late race caution where he can stay out on a little bit older tires and do better than the last time around. It wasn't his fault. He did start in first on that second caution, and Thomas Harmon is the one who got into by the 37 of Caden Honeycutt. So it was okay for Theodore to stay out at that time. And if he gets to that same decision late in this race, I think he can really make it work for him.
Well, 80 and 80 would be 160. So even if they can make 80 laps on a run.
Oh, the 22 of Dustin Musial and the 68 of Thomas Harmon smash into one another. Wow, that is a big problem with the 68 of Thomas Harmon. That is really going to hurt him now. He has more damage. He's going to have to come down for more repairs. And guess who's staying out on the track right now? The big winner. Oh, wait, maybe not the big winner. I thought John Theodore in the 89 was going to be the big winner in that scenario. However, he is a lap down. He will get the lucky dog and get to the tail end of this lead lap, but he's not going to get back into the first position because he is going to have to take the rear end of the lead lap. But either way, John Theodore gets his lap back. I'm sure he was hoping for a later caution. And I'm going to go back and watch that replay one more time and see exactly how much damage the 68 of Harmon might have taken there. We see
looks like he just
got
got
the 22.
probably just gonna be right side, a little bit of right side damage from the bumping into, well, Musial bumping into him. Musial coming down off the wall. Didn't hit the wall or anything, just kind of got afraid that he was getting too close, turned a little bit too far left, coming out of the turn.
Yeah, it looked to me like they both
very low on the track. The 22 kind of turned left to avoid the wall. He just got nervous, it looked like the Musial did. He got very, very nervous about slamming that outside wall. He turned the wheel a little too far to the left, and then all of a sudden, there was grip because he was on flat ground, and the car cut to the left and taps the 68 of Thomas Harmon.
Yeah, y'all call it the way you want to call it. I kind of disagree. I think they both met in the middle as Harmon was sliding up and Musial was coming down, but
well, that's the issue. Is Musial's coming down. I don't think Musial needs to come down there at all because he's got the outside.
Well, Harmon was really loose. He was really loose for the first two turns there, and I don't know.
Yeah, by the time Musial hits him, Harmon's already straight, ready to go, and Musial it's coming down. I mean, there's a whole lane, and Musial comes down into his lane. So
we're watching these pit times right now. Some people with 17, 18-second pit times right now. Thomas Harmon, 30.35. Looks like he has the repairs that are necessary. Dustin Musial in the 22 car now spent 45 seconds on pit road and is still down there getting some repairs done to his car. He pulls off with the 46.32. So it looks like Thomas Harmon's going to be okay. He's going to stay at the tail end of this lead lap. He is the I think the last car in the lead lap other than John Theodore in the 89, who is that lucky dog. So good work by Thomas Harmon, able to survive there. But again, the big story, we go back to these point standings one more time. You guys are probably tired of hearing it already tonight, but Thomas Harmon and John Theodore, Harmon's only 1 point up. I mean, right now, Theodore sits one position behind Harmon, and Harmon just received some damage. So the question is, how healthy is the car, and is John Theodore going to be able to make that position back? He's got to tie. I don't even think he has a position to tie, because I really feel as if, I haven't looked at the stats, and you know, hopefully somebody can look that up as I'm going on here, but I feel like right now, if they do tie in these point standings, that Thomas Harmon is going to be the one to move on to Homestead.
Yeah, we also have to remember John Theodore has a couple bonus points at this point over Thomas Harmon in this race. No damage so far, and also led that lap. So
Very true. 0 incident points for the 89, and also he has led a lap already here tonight. So Harman's going to want to stay out late in the race. If not, he can, you know, if he can't race to the front of this pack and actually, you know, capture a victory or get an actual lap, lap led by really racing for it. But that puts, you know, Harman in a position where even if he finishes 1 point ahead of John Theodore, Theodore could still capture the victory, Mark.
Well, Theodore just went down pit road again, got some, I wonder if he got fresh tires and topped off the fuel because he was going to tail end anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the very last car to come down pit road, why not come down there and top it all off? But now he's going to be a little bit behind as he's starting, now he's starting in the back of the 68 time zone. So.
Yeah, but he's right there. And again, he has those 2 bonus points going for him. So if he can stay right with Harman, he should actually finish. He'll finish ahead points-wise as long as he can maintain a clean car.
Well, hopefully this green flag run irons itself out. We are going to go down to the track and listen to the sights and the sounds of the Dynasty Racing League. Wade Husted is your leader. Anthony Burrows runs second. And Chad Presnall, teammate of Wade Husted in the 32, runs in the 3rd spot. Let's go down and listen to a little bit of the track sounds. That is the sights and sounds of the Dynasty Racing League. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in tonight. All of you guys coming out to watch the race. You saw just a few moments ago Chad Presnall pushing very hard right to the back of the 62 and Anthony Burrows, doing everything he can to get to the rear end of him. He started the 14th position all the way up to third as he passed the 98 of Mark Johnson for that third position. And Chad Presnall looking very good behind his teammate. 32 car.
Well, you know, I'm sitting here watching Chad Presnall, and believe it or not, he actually does have a little bit of fender damage. But he's hanging right there with Anthony Burrows, and what a difference fresh tires make.
That's for sure. All these drivers, 15 laps on the tires, have stayed very close to one another. Burrows and Husted have pulled away from everybody earlier this evening. Either Chad Presnall's figured something out, or Mark Johnson's figured something out. These guys are pushing the car pretty hard in order to stay with these two leaders.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the two leaders are saving, to be honest with you, because they're still going to be short. I was sitting here doing the math. They come in at 69. Even at 69, you're still going to have to come down and top off. You can't stay out there and keep that right front tire up underneath you. I think you'll get a call from the spotters and the right front tire is going down.
I still think with a green flag run, we are going to have these guys come down and take and stop. But Thomas Harmon in the 68 car is around the 89 of John Theodore. Again, John Theodore has collected more bonus points. He's got 0 incidents. He will get a bonus point for that. He will also get a bonus point for leading a lap because he decided to stay out earlier this evening. So as of right now, Theodore has a point over Thomas Harmon, who is 1 point ahead of him. Coming into this race, Theodore's 2 points above him because he sits 1 point back but has 2 more bonus points. So as they run right now, John Theodore, if he can stay behind the 68 of Thomas Harmon, keep only that 1 or 0 car gap between the two of them, Theodore will grab that last spot at Homestead going into the final race of this season. The 68 of Harmon really needs to push the car. He has to get in front of this number 4 car of Jim Westerfield. He really needs to push, and he needs to get in front of that 4 car of Hunter Johnson. But right now, I mean, those 4 guys out in front, they sit about 4 seconds in front of the 4 car of Jim Westerfield. And as Harmon moves to the inside, it looks like Harmon got a crazy run coming out of turn 4 there. The 68 will be able to make the pass. We'll see if John Theodore can also come in behind him. But I mean, 4 seconds is not a short period of time to make up on those guys. That's a lot of racing. And now that Harmon has some clean air, maybe he can make it happen, but that's a lot of time to make up on the 98 of Hunter Johnson. So Harmon, all he's trying to do at this point is keep the 89 behind him.
Well, he's coming. He's definitely coming on him.
Yeah, John Theodore not giving him any room. He gets around the 4 of Jim Westerfield quite easily as well. And I don't know, John Theodore's not going to make this easy on that Avril Lavigne car, the 68.
Well, it's a championship. You can't go easy. Even though we're at lap 90, you got to give it all you got to get right now. If you're sitting on that bubble, you know what you got to do. You got to push this car to its limit and be safe about it all at once. And that's talking out of both sides of your mouth when you do that, but a championship's a championship, and to be able to get into Homestead, he's going to have to do everything he can to stay in front of him and hope Theodore has some bad luck, but I just don't see that happening right now. Theodore, I think he's just sitting there waiting.
So, Martin, right now, I mean, Theodore has to make a major mistake, doesn't he? I mean, even a minor wall touch. You get that 2X, and guess what? All of a sudden, Theodore's tied with Thomas Harmon. Have you gotten a chance to look at those standings and see, has Theodore actually managed to out Harmon throughout these playoffs, or does Harmon have the better finishing position?
I haven't looked into that yet, but I'm going to go look at it right now.
I mean,
I'll get back to you. But, yeah, it's
out
really
of any
close
other
'cause he,
any other of the series in the Dynasty Racing. This is crazy. I mean, literally the 89 right now and the 68 at Thomas Harmon. We're 92 laps in out of 156. I know we have a lot of racing yet to go here tonight, but these two drivers are closer than anybody else has been all season long, any of the playoffs and any of the series. These two drivers right now are the closest anybody has been as far as one beating the other in a series, and I think the tiebreaker comes down to the playoffs, as far as I know.
Well, as
I'm looking at their. It's like Hunter Johnson. He's up in third place, so right now he's 2 positions ahead of Harmon, so he's gonna get a few more points. So it's really Harmon and Theodore right now back there, right next to each other, 5th and 6th place. As Theodore starts eyeing up that inside.
Let me ask you this, does Hunter Johnson have an incident point here tonight?
He does not. So both him and Theodore, both clean.
So Hunter
they
Johnson,
both have
2 positions, he's 2 positions right now in front of Thomas Harmon. So, and he has 0 incident points, where Thomas Harmon does have incident points. So right now, he's not only got
3-point swing.
2 points, but it's a 3-point swing right now for Hunter Johnson over
and then
Thomas
John Theodore.
John Theodore has a 2-point swing, but he's a position behind, so it's only 1
They're
point.
tied. So they'd be tied right now. Because it'd be 39, Harmon's got a point up on him right now.
Because of position.
Yep.
This is, I mean, these 3 drivers being this close, all 3 of them in the top 5, second to last race in the DRL Cup Series. Things are getting pretty intense here tonight.
Well, they have very similar. Their seasons are very similar too. 9 top 5s for Harmon, 8 for both Theodore and Johnson. Then you get to the top 10s. 21 for Theodore, Harmon 19, and then Johnson 17. Now Johnson has 2 wins. Harmon has a win. Theodore has yet to collect a win, and this would be a good time to get one if he could.
So where does the tiebreaker come in? Can we confirm that with the league admins before this race ends, please? Or try to confirm it as soon as possible. I mean, it literally, because as of right now, I mean, if Theodore touches a wall once, if he gets a 2X, him and Harmon are tied. In the positions they run in right now, they are tied. So who is currently winning, and who will make it to Homestead? Or will they allow 5 drivers to go into Homestead instead of 4? I really want to know as far as the Dynasty Racing is concerned. So I just got word from the league administrator, James Pandoff. He is the owner of the league. He says best finish in the current round. So that is single best finish in the current round. So we need to go back and look at the last 2 races and see who finished higher in the last 2 races. Best finish out of Thomas Harmon, best finish out of John Theodore in the last 2 races. How have they done the last 2 races as far as finish is concerned?
Is it just a 1-race finish, or is it the whole thing?
I don't know. According to the league administration, it says best finish in the current round. The question is, does Harmon finish 1 race better this round or this race? But John Theodore finished in the same position last race. Then what do? Then you got to go to another tiebreaker. So we're going to see how this goes as this race continues.
Let's see. I'm going to open up. So Texas and Martinsville were our last 2 races. Let's see where these 2 guys finished in those races. Hunter Johnson has made his way past Chad Presnell while we were talking about that, and has opened up almost a second gap.
Yeah, the 98, now that he has some clean air in front of him, he is catching the back of Anthony Burrows. We talked about, I think it was a decent gap before, but after he was able to get around the 55 at Chad Presnell, he is definitely catching up to Anthony Burrows. So Hunter Johnson feeling very comfortable in that 98 Lowe's car. Doing very well so far here tonight.
Well, just the fact that we have those 3 drivers, including Johnson, right on top of each other, and they're still pretty close. I mean, Harmon's only, position separating them with Chad Presnell in between. We could get to a point where all 3 of these guys are racing each other.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. If the 68 and the 89 are able to get around the 55 of Chad Presnell, which they sit quite a ways back at this point, a big gap between 68-55 right now, but Chad Presnall is losing time. Thomas Harmon maybe getting a little
very
bit of
loose
time
on that
with
last
those
one.
leaders, but Presnall not feeling super comfortable on these very old tires as Harmon and Theodore continue to catch him. I think the big race definitely is between Harmon and Theodore at this point. It will be the best finish so far of this round. Martin, do you know how they sit currently?
I'm still trying to find it here. Let me see if I can get the. Let's see what the race finishes are here.
Looks like Anthony Burrows is hungry. He's tried to get around Husted the last couple of laps. Seen him take it real wide going through the little short chute there, or the trioval, whatever you want to call it. Ooh, and he just wiggled.
Yeah, been a little bit of wiggling going on with Burrows and Presnall. Well, last week at Texas, John Theodore finished 4th, and Harmon finished 5th. Those guys, again, finishing right on top of each other. And then at Martinsville, it was Theodore in 5th and Harmon in 6th. So
right now, Theodore with the 4th position has the best finish in this round. So if they do tie, and as they run right now, they will tie, Theodore is going... Actually, wait a second. Who runs? Yeah, so they would have to pass Pratt... See, this is insane. If they pass...
It's gonna be
if they pass Chad Presnall, right? So if Harmon gets into the 4th position... And
he's got
finishes
a
in front of Theodore, then they both have a 4th place position, and then it goes into the 2nd tiebreaker. And I'm currently trying to get word from the league admins of what happens if they go to a double tiebreaker. So these two cars that run in the I don't know, man, the 5th and 6th position right now is really where the fight's at.
Well, I think maybe it goes to that would be the 2nd best finish, or would be who's finished best in all 3 races, and that would be John Theodore, because John Theodore finished over him twice.
To me, it should be regular
yeah, or
season
wins,
standings,
or
but I really don't know how it works.
We'll see, and last night I was able to do the math pretty quickly and figure out that Clay Phillips had gotten in that 4th spot.
Yeah, there's not going to be any quick math to hear tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, they're not making it easy. They haven't made it easy, and
no.
It looked like there on that last caution, the last caution we had when Thomas Harmon got turned, that might have made it really easy. And Harmon said, "Nope, I'm gonna get back into this." And he's ahead of Theodore. He's got that position. He does have a 2-point disadvantage, or Theodore can make up 2 points with being clean and leading a lap. So yeah, they're bringing it right down to the wire.
Definitely. I mean, these green flag pit stops we got coming up, there has to be a green flag pit stop. It has to be very soon, because again, these guys have 40 laps on their tires, 41 laps with the top 3 right now, as these guys are going to come across the start-finish line, heading down this front stretch. We're looking at about 47 laps remaining. I mean, Presnall's going to come down and take a pit stop. He was already... Oh, wait, he was between those guys. So, again, right now, as it stands...
Yeah, Harmon's up in 4th now.
Thomas Harmon and John Theodore are tied for not only points going into the next season, but they're tied for the tiebreaker. It's going to come down to the 2nd tiebreaker.
You making my head hurt.
It's going to come down to more top 5s in the round, and then it's going to come down after that, the total playoff top 5s. That's what the secondary tiebreaker and the tertiary tiebreaker are going to come down to. So, I'm serious. This is, I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
And don't forget who's in 3rd place now, Hunter Johnson. So it's Johnson, Harmon, Theodore, all 3 of those guys right on top of each other points-wise. I can't even do the math off the top of my head now with Johnson involved in this, because if Harmon can close his gap, and it's still a significant gap, it's 9 seconds, so... But those guys are now 3, 4th, and 5th. And
it'd be nuts to have a 3-way tie. I can't even imagine.
Oh, man.
I mean, again, if I pull up the point standings here, we do see that Harmon has that 1-point lead. Hunter Johnson has killed that with the position that he has in front of Thomas
And
Harmon.
Harmon's going down to pit road right now.
He is going to short pit. I feel like that might give the 68 a bit of an advantage, and now the 89 is going to be fighting it, as well as the 98 of Hunter Johnson, who will also be fighting that. But I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Again, Martin, has Hunter Johnson kept the car clean so far here tonight?
So far, he has 0x, along with John Theodore, 0. Thomas Harmon, though, has 8, getting involved in
so
a couple
he has
issues
a position in front of the 68. He's got the bonus point for keeping the car clean. He does not have a bonus point for leading a lap. However, Thomas Harmon, he does have, oh, I'm sorry, John Theodore does have the bonus point for leading a lap, as well as having the bonus point for keeping the car clean. So, as of right now, where Harmon's coming down first, I feel like he has an advantage there. But Theodore needs to come down before Hunter Johnson. And he does pull down pit road right behind Hunter Johnson. I think Theodore right now is in the best position, so long as he doesn't touch the wall throughout the rest of the race. If these guys finish 1, 2, 3, no matter the position, John Theodore should just get in just by staying out and leading that lap early in the race.
Well, that's the way you got to do it. You got to take all you can get when you can get it. That's for sure. Anthony Burrows is now in. So that's going to turn it back over to Wakefield. And then Husted's going to probably come back out on top. It's going to be it's all going to come down to who has the best pit stop between the first two anyway. And if I'd have been Hunter Johnson, I'd have waited till Anthony Burrows went in. Got me 5 bonus points for leading.
So I'm getting word now that, so on that very first restart, after that first caution flag, I talked about it throughout the broadcast. I think Thomas Harmon, so apparently when the green flag dropped, he did not jump the start. He was behind the leader when the green flag dropped, but he was the first car to the start-finish line. So that would make Thomas Harmon actually having a lap led, giving Thomas Harmon the same number of bonus points as John Theodore right now.
Wow.
Which is just, I mean, this thing, it's coming down to the wire. It's going to be a crazy finish. I can't wait to watch the rest of this race unfold.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here at Phoenix.
Yeah, it's like if he does actually have a lap led, yeah, that's going to throw a
It's going to be absolutely nuts moving forward. This is a hell of an end to the season right now.
Are you able to pull up his driver standing or his driver info, and it shows you a lap led?
Well,
all I can do is to pull up unofficial results. We'll go in and look at that. And Thomas Harmon does have 1 lap led. John Theodore with 4. So right now, I mean, even Joshua Wakefield has a couple laps led, but
that's a John Theodore.
Most laps led is not going to go to anybody but Wade Husted. He has led the most laps tonight officially at this point. However, I mean, right now, Thomas Harmon and John Theodore have both led a lap. It doesn't matter. So we pull up these point standings one more time. Thomas Harmon 1 point in front of Theodore, but he's taking damage. So bonus points are equal between the two. It's all going to come down to finishing position. And Hunter Johnson's in the mix as well with no incidents.
Yeah, so Hunter Johnson and Thomas Harmon, if it were to end right now, would be, I believe, tied.
No, even if they finished in the same spot, they're equal. If they finished at the exact same time, they're equal, because Thomas Harmon has the bonus point for a lap led. Actually, yeah, he has the bonus point for a lap led, and he's already 1 point ahead of Hunter Johnson coming into this race. But Hunter Johnson has a clean car, bonus point, and he has
tied.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, I think they'd be tied too.
They would be. I can't even think about it, man.
And John Theodore. Yeah, and John Theodore has 2 points, but the point equals out because they both led laps. So he's got a point, but he's a position behind Harmon.
So he's equal with Harmon.
So he's tied. So there's 3 right now.
Tied.
The way they're running.
It's literally running there is all that matters, I feel.
Yeah, and Josh Mayhew has now gotten in between them. So Harmon's got to get past Mayhew, and Theodore's got to get past him as well and stay within that position of Hunter Johnson. Otherwise, Johnson gets in locked, and then it's Harmon and Theodore. So 3-way tie. We do have 2 positions, though. They're fighting for 2 positions, those 3 guys.
Hunter Johnson doing very well. We still have over 36 laps remaining here tonight. I mean, Hunter Johnson, easy pass on the 44 of David, right? He's definitely the better driver on the fresh tires. He's out racing right now Last lap by 27.795 for Hunter Johnson. Last lap by for Thomas Harmon 27.853, and John Theodore with a 27.772. So Hunter Johnson, the better driver on the fresh tires, but late in these runs, we'll see. I mean, Thomas Harmon and John Theodore are really going to be the two that it comes down to, I feel like, towards the end of this race, so long as there's no mistakes moving forward.
John Theodore's job is to stay one position behind Harmon, cannot fall any further behind. He's got to stay right behind Harmon, if not pass him.
Yeah, he can't let somebody like Nate ruin his season.
Josh May, he was right in between him right now. He's going to get past him. Maybe he's on older tires. But if there's a guy between them, Theodore's out.
Theodore's giving it up.
Right here.
That's right. I mean, this is, David, I know you've been broadcasting. You broadcast multiple series. You've been in a few different, you know, of the Dynasty Racing League series throughout the year here on DRL TV. But have you ever seen anything this nuts? I mean, this is absolutely crazy.
It is. I mean, with a three-way possible tie here, the only thing I have is, can Fresnel get back around Anthony Burrows? And if he does, will Wade Husted let off the gas and give him the win to lock him in? That's another question you got to ask yourself with their teammates. Now, the racer in me says Wade Husted won't do that, but you know, if I was there leading the race and I knew my buddy was in second place with only 1/10 or a second back, I'd probably hit the brakes. But that's just me.
Yeah, this Cup Series playoffs, last 2 weeks, I mean, Martinsville shook things up, or no, Texas shook things up a lot with some key drivers getting wrecked, and same thing this week with Caden Honeycutt causing some issues for Mike Springer. Now, Springer not right in the mix, of course, but also causing Harmon a little bit of issues. Wonder where Harmon would be if that really affected him at all, other than giving him that 4X, which cost him bonus point. So again, wrecks by contending and playoff caliber drivers, contributing to make this a very, very tight finish
so guys,
this season.
I mean, you know, as an administrator, and I'm not currently administrator of the Dynasty Racing League. I do come out here and you know, I give my opinion every week, and I tell the admins how I feel, and I try to make this league a better place week in and week out. Right now, so at the beginning of this playoff series, I threw it at the admin or James Pandoff, the winner of the league. I tossed it to him and I said, hey, maybe we should get rid of that 0x bonus points, right? So if you don't get in an accident, if you get 0 incident points throughout the race, you don't get any bonus points. You don't lose any bonus points. There shouldn't be as bonus points when it comes to the playoffs. All that does is incentivize the drivers to show up week in and week out throughout the regular season. It's very rare that when you move into the playoffs that the race is that close, and if it does happen, it happens, whatever. But here in the playoffs, we're down to the final race of the season. Right now, if Thomas Harmon were to check up, and because he's already got a 4X, yes?
Yep.
If he were to check up in the middle of one of these corners, you see how close the 89's following him. The 89 has 0X. If the 68 was to check up and make the 89 touch his rear end, that would give the 89 a 2X at the very minimum, and make him lose those 0X bonus points. It's very, very dicey out here tonight. The racing is so close. These drivers have shown everything they've got. They're giving it all they've got throughout this season, and it's minor things like that that can really change the course of the season moving forward.
Oh yeah, if I'm John Theodore right now, you got to be very careful. Now, I don't think Thomas Harmon is going to do something like that on purpose.
Again, I'm not saying you should, but if you were the 68, I mean, what are we talking about here?
Accidentally on purpose.
Right. Right.
And the thing is, it's like, even at this point, the way they're racing, they're so close that it doesn't even have to be on. There's not even a thing that has to be on purpose. It doesn't even have to brake check. It's just that he has to.
Netcode
or netcode even,
Yeah, anything could really do it. We've seen equipment failures throughout the year. I think Jeremy Hebel and myself, we got into each other in the truck race because his screen went black. He had no control of his car.
Had that
his
number
truck
times,
stopped right in front of me, and I couldn't do anything but cram
wheel fails.
So, We've
So
had
John
that
Theodore,
happen, but right now Theodore has to be so careful running that close to the 68 of Harmon in that S2R Admiral Levine car. I mean,
And he's going to,
headed
if
to
he can
the
get
inside.
if he can get by him, then he feels. I think he's going to feel absolutely more comfortable being in front of him.
That's going to put Harmon in a real tough spot. I mean, Harmon's going to have to race his heart out here just to make it. These three drivers run behind each other. Hunter Johnson runs 4th, Thomas Harmon runs 5th, and John Theodore runs in the 6th spot. That's not an easy place to be. Your heart's pumping every single lap. We still got 22 to go, but I mean, these guys aren't looking at it like 22 to go. Every second matters.
Well, how much is this?
Yeah,
and how much is this burning their? Yeah, how much is this burning their? Just they're stressing out in this race, and then next week you have to finish over the other guy. Whoa! And there comes Harmon coming down a little bit.
Yeah,
a little close.
He was expecting it to be a lot further down the track.
Oh, very close to one another. The 89 almost touches the 68. Martin, if you can check the official thing there, I don't know if they touched, but if that
no incidents there.
If that 89 car gets an incident point, I mean, this is just going to throw the whole standings off. This is absolutely crazy. What a race this has been. What a season it's been for the DRL Cup Series. John Theodore joining late. Thomas Harmon joined about 4 races into the season, and both of these guys, they came out, they proved what they had, they made it into this final 8, now they're fighting for the final 4, and it's unlike anything we've seen all year.
And again, both these guys also have spotters. Dimitri Smith spotting for Thomas Harmon, and Nathan Jurgensen, who...
Oh my God, what a race between these two drivers.
That puts Harmon into the wall, and John Theodore has the position, so he is now... that's no longer going to be a tie. If he can hold on, John Theodore will punch his own ticket to the playoffs, or into the Homestead.
See what I see? I see Theodore's got right fender damage. Now, he may not have an incident point for it, but
he's got damage, but no point for it. So he still has that bonus point. So he put just enough door and a bumper to Harmon to throw Harmon into the wall and get by him, but also to avoid getting an incident point.
You got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's crunch time now.
You got to do what you got to do, but you got to avoid. He also had to avoid getting the incident point, because even then, if he had gotten the incident point, gotten ahead of Harmon, they'd still be in the same position as he already was without the incident point behind Harmon.
Well, then you got was that Westerfield? Is that who? No, who is that behind him?
Behind Harmon, Jim Westerfield.
In the 22, that's Musel. So.
Oh yeah, Musel is.
So that's not going to worry. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I was just trying to see if maybe we could get a car in between them in the finish, if it would make a difference. But it doesn't look like it's going to be that way, because they're going to finish like they are, unless Theodore makes a mental mistake and Harmon gets back around him.
Yeah, it all comes down to just driving your race now. Theodore obviously still has to hold off Harmon. He's got about almost a second advantage now, so looks like this might be fading for Harmon, but we still have, what is that, about 16, 17 laps to go.
16.
And
so can these guys make it the rest of the race? I mean, is that it? They're going to the end. This is it.
They're going to the end. Yep.
So now Theodore's #1 job cannot hit the wall. He hits the wall, that kills any time advantage he has over Harmon. It also kills the point advantage. They go right back into that tie situation.
He can't even spin the tire. He can't spin the car around. He don't need to hit anything.
Yeah, anything. Grass, wall, anything, and he goes back into a tie situation.
I didn't think it was grass.
I don't think there's any grass. Well, you know, I'm thinking that 1 point, that 1 point incident. I mean, that's all it takes. You know, Harmon at this point, I mean, he's got 8. He can go up to 20. It doesn't change anything other than slowing him down. But for Theodore, he's got to hold on to that. And again, Hunter Johnson, same thing. If Hunter Johnson, I believe, if he gets a incident point.
We're talking about crazy mistakes. I mean, so right now, I'm in contact with the league administrator, James Panthoff. He's the owner of the league. I told him, listen, let me know. Lap 155, I want to know who's leading. He says, I don't know. I can't see who's led laps and who hasn't. I said, guess what? Well, Thomas Harmon led that lap.
Harmon
yes,
and
he
Theodore.
came across that start-finish line in the first spot. He did get a lap led. Maybe he deserved it. Maybe he didn't. Crazy restart. However, Thomas Harmon got a lap led. John Theodore led 4 laps. And Hunter Johnson has not led a single lap. So I want to know, before we go into these interviews at the end of the night, we need to know who's making it in next week. I mean, this is just...
I think
I've never been a part of anything like this. The Dynasty Racing League, for this to come down to the Cup Series, it's the most exciting series. It's the most competitive series in the Dynasty Racing League. We have guys with
it's almost
5,000,
coming down
6,000, all the way down to 2,000 iRating. But they come out here every single week. They prove what they've got, and they really show that they have what it takes to make it into a Final Four going into Homestead, to give somebody like Anthony Burrows, who dominated last season with, I think, 14 out of, the races won last season. I think he's won 12 already this season. These guys come out and really show they have what it takes to maybe take that victory away from Anthony Burrows, as Eric Wolf was able to do at the end of the season last year.
Well, I know I'm running a 1,300 iRating, and if at all possible, when it comes to next season, I want to drive in the Grand National cars and give up my helmet for the Cup Series. I just feel I'd be a little bit more competitive in a lower class.
It's so competitive up here at this point.
I mean, I don't put in the time that they do, but I do put in some time on tracks that I'm pretty good at, just to make sure that I'm comfortable, like Charlotte, Daytona, Talladega, stuff like that. Even Martinsville, I'm really good at Martinsville, but I didn't show up for Martinsville. Did I?
Well, yeah, and you can't just be good at 1 or 2 tracks with these guys out there.
No.
If you want to get into deep in the playoffs, because they're good almost everywhere, it seems. And just thinking about it again, Hunter Johnson, 1 position ahead of John Theodore. They're tied for points, but Theodore gets a point for leading a lap over Johnson, so Theodore's ahead of him. But again, the position-wise, so they're tied there, I believe. That put them in a tie.
Are they both clean?
They're both clean.
Hang on a second. Point standings. Let's see here. So
point standings, they're tied.
Point standings, they're tied. But Theodore has lap led and clean, so he's above Hunter Johnson.
He's got 1 point. Well, he's got 1 point because they equal out with the clean.
He loses a point because he's a position behind.
1 point for the position, so they're tied now.
So they're tied. However, Thomas Harmon, he's not clean.
They both get in. Yeah.
Thomas Harmon's not clean, but he's led a lap. But he's a position ahead. So are all 3 tied right now?
Well, he's a position behind Theodore, so he's actually now a point back. And there comes a caution. This is going to throw
the
all kinds of
44 of David Wright spinning to the inside. This is just going to be, I mean, we got a 3-lap shootout. This is, oh my gosh. This is the nuttiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't believe how this race has gone. We're going to go watch the 44 of David Wright. I don't even care about David.
Now check
no
this
offense,
out.
but we're going to watch the 44 of David Wright have a spin out here. Looks like Josh Mayhew in the 61 coming up on the rear end of the 44. 44 gets loose, touches that outside wall, almost spins the 61, able to
61 kind of warped through him a little bit.
Very good work on Josh Mayhew.
Very close.
Able to hold on to that one. Joshua Wakefield avoids it. The 89 of Theodore goes around. David Wright
as those cars
are.
Yeah, they were right next to. I think Chad Presnell just passed them, and I was watching, and there was a point where him, Wright, Mayhew, and Presnell were right on top of each other. I'm just thinking, oh man, this is gonna be a point where it's gonna wreck someone's race, and I don't want to see Johnson, Theodore, or Harmon get caught in something, because I want to see this go down to them battling for position. And
I can't believe they came in.
Did they all? But they all came in.
All of them.
And that's the thing. They all came in, and I think if one of them had stayed out, I mean, you're throwing things around. Everyone's just going to come in, get the fresh tires, because you don't want to be in front and
somebody
cause
should have stayed out, Martin. We're talking 3 laps left. Somebody should have stayed out, man. Listen, it's go time. Right now, if I'm John Theodore, if I'm Hunter Johnson, if I'm Thomas Harmon, I'm staying out on that track. I am not taking the chance.
Who gets out? It's going to be Theodore still gets out ahead of Harmon, so they come in and come out the same way.
John Theodore going to start in front of the 68. They're going to start side by side as Thomas Harmon starts in the 7th position. John Theodore is going to start in 6th. As of right now, so I guess the wrench we have thrown in here, Martin, is that getting a 0x is actually worth 2 bonus points. It's not worth 1 bonus point. It's worth 2.
It's worth 5. It's worth 5.
No, it's worth 2. So, here's where we have a big issue, right? Hunter Johnson, he's going to start in 4th on this restart. The 98 car. He's going to start on the outside line in the 4th position. He came into this race 1 point behind Thomas Harmon, but Thomas Harmon's starting 2 positions behind him. So that's 2 off for Harmon. However, Hunter Johnson has
also has the 2
bonus points, so that makes them even. Okay, that's going to make them... So, wait a second. Yeah, Hunter Johnson started a point behind Harmon. So he's already a point in front of Harmon because he's 2 positions in front of Harmon.
And then he has the 2 points for the bonus, so he's 3 points ahead.
He's
ahead of Harmon.
In front of Thomas Harmon. But John Theodore, he's got a clean car and a lap lead. That's 3 bonus points. But he started a point behind Harmon, so he's 2 in front of Harmon. So as it runs right now,
plus
Harmon,
a position now.
Plus a position. So Harmon has to pass John Theodore in order to get the tie. And if they tie, Thomas Harmon will win. Actually, they'll tie a second time, and then it's going to come down to average finish throughout the playoff round.
Oh, I can't even do the math anymore.
Yeah, Thomas Harmon has to pass John Theodore. That's all there is to it. If Harmon doesn't get around the 89, there's no chance for Harmon. He is going to fall out of this Final 4. This is the tightest race of the Dynasty Racing League, the tightest race of the DRL in any of the series. This is going to be absolutely crazy. We have 46 viewers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. This is just one of the best finishes we could have hoped for all season long. I'm so glad to see it come down to this. I hope Homestead is the same way.
I hope it's a clean finish or a clean restart here. I don't want people wrecking out and that being it. We only have 8 cars really on top of each other.
Pace car comes down pit road. Wade Husted pulls off right from the beginning. Anthony Burrows in the 62 on the outside. Chad Presnell on the 55 gets that inside line. That's going to shove Anthony Burrows to the outer line. And then you have John Theodore. Oh, the 98. Oh, my God. The 98, the 89. Thomas Harmon in the 68 goes to that outside line. What a mix-up this has caused. The 68 of Thomas Harmon does get around John Theodore. He touches the 98 of Hunter Johnson in the rear end. All of these drivers bidding for a playoff spot. This is an insane finish. Thomas Harmon currently occupies the 3rd position. The 4th position goes to Hunter Johnson. 5th is John Theodore. This is absolutely insane. I can't even.
It's great, and it's like the top 5 guys are the top 5 guys in the points too. They're all just
3 of them. The mix-up we were just talking about with Thomas Harmon in the back, he stood no chance. But right now, Harmon leads these 3 drivers as the 68 comes across in the 3rd spot. Hunter Johnson is sitting 4th, and the 5th position goes to John Theodore as we take the white flag. Those front 2 drivers don't mean a whole lot as they're already locked into the playoffs. Now we just have to have Thomas Harmon hold off the 98 of Hunter Johnson in that 3rd position. Harmon to the outside line. Hunter Johnson's going to turn him. The 68 gets loose. The 89 of John Theodore is going to follow the 98 to the inside.
And Harmon's still trying to save it.
Harmon is still losing it. And I think that's going to be the end for Thomas Harmon. That is it.
Wow.
Thomas Harmon is going to finish the last of those 3 cars. I thought Thomas Harmon had the finish.
I thought that was it for John Theodore going there.
We saw Hunter Johnson come across. He crashes out the 68. And now it looks like the 55 of Chad Presnell gives the business to the 98.
Well, he took the 98 took out. Yeah, he took out Presnell, and he also took out.
Not 68. Very happy with that 98 car. I mean, Chad Presnell had no chance of getting into this final. But if Presnell is friends at all with the car of Thomas Harmon in the 68, I mean that's really got to hurt.
I want to see what Harmon's going to do. And Harmon came and you see that.
Harmon not too happy either. I think that's going to end the playoff for Thomas Harmon. That kicks the 68 out of these playoffs.
Yeah, we're going to have to do some math here, but I think it's definitive because Harmon lost quite a few positions. Yeah, he fell 4 positions behind Theodore, ending up in 8th.
We're going to go back and watch this one more time. We're going to watch the rear chase view Farts
I didn't think
race,
anything.
view here of the 89. John Theodore,
I didn't think anything
you
could
see
top.
the 98 in the mix. He's all over the 68 of Thomas Harmon as they come around and collect the white flag here.
Wow.
I mean, this is absolutely crazy. The 98 of Hunter Johnson almost catching the back of the 68. It gets a little bit loose. The 89 John Theodore goes down to the inside. They're going to come around. This is where they collect the white flag.
You know what?
Across the start-finish line. And
I'm not gonna. It's not really. I'm not gonna really give it to Hunter Johnson there that he did anything wrong. It's just that Harmon checked up a lot more than Hunter Johnson had to. Hunter Johnson took it in.
I mean, they're even.
He drove it in.
Right, they're even. The 68 suddenly breaks right in front of the 98. Yeah. That gets the 68 a little sideways, and he just can't collect it again. And that lets not only the 98 around, but the 68 around. So if that was a different driver other than the 98 who's also vying for position there at the end, I don't feel like if he was another driver in the league, we all respect each other here in the Dynasty Racing League, he might not have put the bumper to the back of the 68, but he had to do it. I mean, what is he going to do? He has to race for that position. He knows that the point standings are on the line. He knows Homestead's on the line. He knows his position in the Final Four is on the line.
Yeah,
he's going to give it everything he's got. I mean, it is what it is.
I don't know
how the points foil out based on
he doesn't.
Who has
I don't know if
who doesn't, who has a lap led, who doesn't. He doesn't know. He's going for as many points as possible.
Now I'm wondering here.
And he didn't know whether to touch the brake or not. He barely touched the back of Thomas Harmon there.
Now here's a question. I don't know, but I don't know when these incidence points happened because Hunter Johnson now has 8 incidence points. Now he went sliding through after the start finish line. He went sideways, kind of in a celebratory kind of way. So that could have been some incident points. I don't know if he got any incident points from moving Thomas Harmon, where those would count. So those would count. So he loses those 2 bonus points there.
Yeah, but he finished 2 positions in front.
Now you have to understand. Now in the car, he's driving. He's not doing all this math. He doesn't know where he needs to be. He knows he's competing against Harmon and Theodore though to get into the playoffs. And he wants to finish ahead of them. So you might think it's a dirty move, and I don't think he did it on purpose either. I think he's going in hard.
Literally right on his bumper. Thomas Harmon hit the brakes a little bit earlier than he expected, and he turned him. I don't think it was meant on purpose. I'm going to go down to the league administrator. I'm going to find out exactly who was in this top 4. Hunter Johnson definitely received some points for getting damaged there at the end of that race. I don't know if the 89 did get any incidents marked. Can you verify that?
89 stayed clean. He avoided all of that stuff.
He will get 2 bonus points for finishing there, and he's going to finish 1 point behind Hunter Johnson. I think that kicks Thomas Harmon out of this
I think Harmon gets bumped out.
After coming to this in third, which is just absolutely insane.
Well, let's do the math here. So Harmon finishes.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I double checked. It is 5 bonus points for not having an incident.
It's 5. Wow.
I talked to the league administrator. I think he changed it for the playoffs, and I think it's 2 bonus points in these playoffs.
Well, we'll have to see. Okay. Well, let's see if he can.
I'm asking him.
He'll do the math and everything.
I'm going to try to figure it out, but we're going to go down and at least get these top 2 drivers, Wade Husted and Anthony
let's talk
Burrows,
to them first.
The winner of the race. I can't believe we didn't even talk about how Wade Husted came away winning that race, but the points race was so tight. What an insane race.
We'll talk about them next week.
At the end of the night, but I'll tell you what. I mean, that was an absolute pleasure to watch. I can't believe. I really think Theodore.
I didn't think it would
made it into that Final 4.
I didn't think it would be possible to top the finish from the Daytona 250 at the beginning of the season. Our first broadcast.
We're not even watching the winners, and it finished better. I mean, that was insane.
So much more on the line. So much more on the line in this one where. It's those guys, and all 3 of them are right on top of each other too. They're right on top of each other. It wasn't like the guy, Harmon had gotten knocked out early in the race. Harmon got knocked out on the last turn there, basically.
That's absolutely crazy. Well, we're going to go down to the track. We're going to grab Wade Husted and pull him in for an interview, or the winner of tonight's race. I'm sorry we didn't get to see it there at the end. Hopefully the viewers enjoyed the race that we did see for that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th position. Absolutely amazing, or I'm sorry, 3rd, 4th, and 5th position. Absolutely amazing finish to that race. Let's pull Wade Husted in. Wade Husted, you got a copy, sir?
Hey, man, I do.
Hey, I don't know if you know what the hell was going on behind you, but that was hands down the absolute best race we've ever seen from the Dynasty Racing League. Hell of a finish. You come away with the win. We didn't even get a chance to watch you on stream, man, because we were following second, third, and fourth. Those guys, or third, fourth, and fifth, those guys absolutely raced it out to the end, and it's really going to come down and decide exactly who moves on to Homestead this year. You move on yourself. How are you feeling about next week, buddy?
We're feeling pretty good. I haven't turned any laps there yet, really, to practice. But what I do have to say is the stuff behind me, you know, I was watching, it looked like, I think it was Harmon that was like second or third or something like that. And then I crossed the line, did my burnout. I'm like, wait, where'd he go? So then I don't know what happened. Hunter's up there, Theodore's up there. So you guys would have to walk me through, but it must have been crazy back there.
Well, listen here. I mean, those three guys were fighting. They weren't just fighting for position tonight. They were fighting for points. There was 0x on the line, which is 2 bonus points. There was a position in front of one another, which is obviously a point per position. And then there was a lap led, which we had. Thomas Harmon came across the line early in the race, even though he was the number 2 car, because when he took the green flag, he got the better restart. So he had a lap led. John Theodore stayed out early in the race in that very first caution and had a lap led. Hunter Johnson never got to an opportunity to lead a lap tonight. So we had bonus points bouncing everywhere. We had positions bouncing everywhere. We had a crazy
They're all right on top of each other.
wreck in, like, Thomas Harmon gets turned sideways by the 98 and on the second to last corner. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. I'm so glad that the season finished the way it did. I hope you're absolutely ecstatic to be a part of the Dynasty Racing League, and I hope you guys can come out and give us the good show that you've given us every week all season long next week at Homestead, man.
Yeah, man, that's what we're hoping for. You know, it looks like to me if it's myself, Anthony, Hunter, and John that make it, it should be pretty good. Anybody who's watching, anybody who has run this league or signed up for Cup, if you can, I hate to say it, but join the race if you can. We'd like to have, you know, a lot more cars if possible. But other than that, next week is going to be just as crazy, or if not.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts, man. Please, Wade, you know, from me, from everybody else here at the DRL, and for all those guys watching at home, put in that practice this week. Come out next week and show us what you got at Homestead, man. I can't wait to watch next week's race.
Yeah, you got it, man. It's crazy how all this season has come down to one race. So we're going to be probably on top of our game.
I mean, you know, 2 weeks ago, I was watching, you know, last week we had Presnell dropped out early. I didn't even know if he'd show up this week after what happened to him last week. He seemed really upset about that, how that turned out, and kind of bowed out of that race early and didn't really stand a chance coming in here tonight. Even, you know, he had to come out and win. That's the only opportunity he stood. But, I mean, it really just... This just goes to show absolutely how amazing the Dynasty Racing League is. That gives you win number 9 on the season. Anthony Burrows with 12 wins this season. We called him dominant throughout the season. He comes out here. He gets 20. I think this is 28 out of 29 races. He finishes in the top 5. The one race he didn't finish in the top 5. We didn't expect it. I mean, what was it? It was probably less than 10 races ago. He was up on you by 6 or 7. I mean, you've come out, you've been dominant at the end of the season. You've shown us what you have, and I hope you come out and get it next week at Homestead, man. I can't wait to watch you guys race.
Hey, man, if I have to say something, I think we've had our share of bad luck getting taken out a few races that I think we're in contention to win. I think our bad luck is behind us, and Anthony, I got mad respect for him, but honest to God, maybe his luck is going to run dry next week. But we'll wait and see, so we'll catch you guys next.
Listen, Wade, come out and get it next week, man. Let's hear the shout-outs.
Ryan, Martin, David, you guys are wonderful. James Pandoff, everything that you guys do, Getty Buckner, Eric Weatherholtz is a part of this team too. There's a bunch of names that make this happen, and that's what we have to really give credit to here as we wrap up this year. You know, on top of that, there's a bunch of other series you guys offer here, Winter Series, Pro Series. So anybody listening, if you have a wheel and pedals, get on here and get her done. But I just want to thank Chad for the time and dedication this year that we put in. You know, it's just one of those things that we just keep trying to grow off each other and get faster and faster each week. And then again, I just want to say thanks to Anthony for always racing clean and respectful. He's one of those guys that I look forward to racing with every week. And, you know, especially when it comes down to these short race scenarios at the end, it's usually pretty fun. But overall, I just like to be part of this. I can't thank you guys enough.
Thank you, Wade. We'll see you next week at Homestead. Best of luck at the end of the season, buddy.
I want to ask one question.
Go ahead.
If Presnell had been on your bumper, would you have let off at the start-finish line to give him a win to get in?
We already discussed what we were gonna do, and I hate to say it, but yeah, man, I wanted him to race for that championship next week, so it probably would have came down to that, and then that would have really changed everything.
Hey, listen, their teammates. Husted's already locked in.
I know.
Teammates are teammates, man.
I figured that would have happened, but it's hindsight now. But you made it in the playoffs.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Thanks again.
Have a good night, Wade.
Thanks, you too.
All right, well, we're going to go down and grab Anthony Burrows, who obviously has also made it into this final race at Homestead. Let's find Burrows. There he is. Anthony Burrows, you got a copy, sir.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, I know you're young, buddy. What are you, 16 years old?
Yeah.
That's right, man. You are, once again, the #1 driver coming into this race at Homestead. You're definitely the favorite to win it here this season. Husted's been strong towards the end. How are you feeling going into Homestead next week?
I don't know. I feel like it might come down between me and Wade, but he's been really heating up in these playoffs, and on these mile and a halves, he's been insanely fast, especially at Texas. Hopefully I can at least keep up with him. We can race it out, but yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure. We'll have to find out when we get there.
So coming towards the end of this race, we definitely had some major, absolutely insane playoff implications. I hope you get to watch the replay of this race and the broadcast after the fact. But Hunter Johnson, John Theodore, and Thomas Harmon in the number 68 car, all three of those drivers racing it out to the very end to see who makes it into the final four. I mean, do you think any team play is going to come into next week? I know that Wade Husted, Chad Presnall, I know they're somewhat comfortable with Thomas Harmon in the 68. They practice a little bit with S2R throughout the season. You feel like team play is going to come into it next week?
It might a little bit, but I feel like if me or Wade have the speed, we can just go out and do it without really needing that help. So hopefully we can just race it out, but definitely wouldn't be too upset if any of that really plays a factor.
I mean, the top 5 king here in DRL, only one race throughout the season, not in the top 5. You've been absolutely impressive as the season's gone on. You capture another one tonight. You come in second. I mean, how are you feeling going into tonight at Phoenix? Did you think you'd come away with another top 5 or what?
Considering there weren't a whole lot of people that showed up, I kind of felt like I could, and I was decent in practice too and in qualifying, so I knew if I could just keep it out front, obviously not destroy my car and just stay up there, would be.
I lost you there at the end. I appreciate you for being honest, Anthony. Thank you so much for coming out here and giving us a show again tonight. We felt like you might have been holding on to it a little bit there midway through the race, and then honestly, no offense to you, but we stopped talking about you. I know we've talked about you a ton throughout the season, but the race, you know, from position 3rd to 5th was absolutely insane tonight, and the playoff implications and what it means going into Homestead for the last race. Congratulations on making it to Homestead. Congratulations on winning the most races throughout the season this year. Right now, it seems kind of like a race between you and Mr. Husted, but we all know anything can happen in the final race of the year. Let's hear the shout-outs for anybody you want to say thank you to, and let's hear, you know, who you appreciate throughout the season and who got you to this point so far.
Yeah, definitely. Huge shout-out to Wade, obviously, for getting the win tonight. He's definitely one of my favorite guys to race on here. We always have good, hard, clean racing. Definitely a pleasure racing with him every week. Congrats to the other guys that made it in the Final Four, too. Looking forward to racing you guys next week. Shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast all year. You guys have done an amazing job. And James and all the admins for keeping this league going.
Well, Anthony, I know everything didn't work out for you in the Ignite Cup, but I know you're still a young guy and you're still trying to make your way in the racing scene, and I hope one day I can say, hey, that's Anthony Burrows, and you're dominating out there in NASCAR, man. I can't wait to see it. And we'll see you back again next week, and wish you the best of luck at Homestead, buddy.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Have a good one, buddy.
You too.
Well, that was Anthony Burrows. Again, David, I don't know, you watched him in the Ignite Cup. That guy, he's a very young man. The Ignite Cup is I think it's my trying to say? It's reserved for people that are under the age of 16. Anthony Burrows came out there and gave it his all. I think we have another driver in Spencer Tart who ended up finishing 8th in that series. Burrows did make the final race as well as Tart. Tart finished a little bit better, but they were racing those old legend cars. Those guys are the man. I mean, they're the young group of guys that are here in the Dynasty Racing League, and I think Tart's doing very well in the Truck Series. Anthony Burrows obviously doing very, very well in this Cup Series, so it's a pleasure to have those guys in the Dynasty Racing League. We're going to go down. I still have a message out to the league admin.
I do believe the Ignite series was 14 to 16 years of age or 16 and under. I'm really not for sure on that.
Yeah.
I do know that the limit was 16.
Yeah, it was the younger guys, 16 and under, that's for sure. We're going to go grab Hunter Johnson now and see how Hunter Johnson is feeling at the end of that race. I do believe, again, I'm not 100% positive, but I do believe that Hunter Johnson and John Theodore, I think Thomas Harmon's out. I think that's how this ended up. I think Thomas Harmon's out of these standings. We're still waiting from the official call from the admin, but I think Hunter Johnson, John Theodore ended up fighting their way into this Final Four, and we're going to go down and grab Hunter Johnson right now and see how he feels about the race tonight. Hunter Johnson, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Hey, so there's a lot of discussion right now. I'm trying to talk to the league admins, trying to find out exactly who made it in, who didn't. There's bonus points for 0x. There's bonus points for leading a lap and not leading a lap. You didn't get a chance to lead a lap tonight, while the other two drivers you're contending with did. But you did finish in front of him. Come away with the top 3. How are you feeling after this race this year?
But yeah, that race was something. The beginning of the race was kind of fun with that, but then at the end it got really, really exciting. I know they got those bonus points for leading a lap. I tried to get one on Wade, but he just held me off too good. So good job on his part for not letting me get that lap led. But there at the end of the race, it's kind of just go big, go home. I mean, the incident with Harmon, me tagging him wasn't intentional or anything. I felt like I kind of drove it in a little deeper than he normally did, but kind of sucks that happened. But we'll have to see how the points come out.
Well, again, I'm pretty sure you made it into the Final Four. If you did, congratulations. You come away with the top 3 tonight. How are you feeling about Homestead next week? You've been practicing there or what?
I felt confident. I mean, I haven't got no practice yet. I've done some open races, so not really helpful. But I'll be trying to definitely get some practice lobbies here with some SWA guys and see how much faster I can get.
Well, listen, after Honeycutt cut himself out of this race early tonight in that 37 car, you were kind of racing against Theodore and Harmon for the rest of the night. You had nothing for Anthony Burrows and Wade Husted. You're going to need it next week, man. You think you can come out here and compete with those two guys, or?
I mean, if I get enough practice and kind of probably work on my short and long run, Homestead probably may have a little bit of a chance. But it'll be cutting it really close. I've never seen how those guys held up at Homestead, but we'll find out next week.
Yeah, they're crazy. I know I heard last year at the very end of the year, Burrows hadn't turned very many laps there. I think Husted said earlier in the year that he hasn't turned very many laps at Homestead. So definitely one of those tracks guys only race once a year, so there aren't very many laps that get turned around that track. So get as much practice as you can this week. Come out and show us what you got next week and try to win that championship, buddy.
I'll give it my best shot. We'll see what happens.
All right, let's hear the shout-outs before I let you go tonight.
Mr. Cosman, he made this paint scheme brand new. I feel very good about it. It's a nice looking car. SWA guys, they do a good job week in and week out trying to help me get faster at these tracks. Thank y'all in the booth for doing such a good broadcast week in and week out. Next week's definitely going to be exciting, and then this Final Four is going to be very intense.
Yeah, we try our best, and you're damn right. The Final Four is going to be absolutely nuts. That's for sure. We'll see you next week, man. Good luck at Homestead.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
That was Hunter Johnson, who finishes in 3rd position this evening, is able to grab that 4th position in these playoff standings. And official results are out. Thomas Harmon was kicked out of the playoffs after this race tonight. We do have first position going to Wade Husted. Anthony Burrows captures second. John Theodore in third, moving up 2 positions after tonight's race with the bonus points that he received throughout the night. And Mark Johnson, or Hunter Johnson, does finish in the 4th spot. So Thomas Harmon being bumped out of there. Again,
over the retaliation at the end of the race?
No, Thomas Harmon was bumped out purely on points.
Oh, okay.
Just on the finish that happened at the end of the race. So here we're gonna go ahead and bring in. Let's see here.
Yeah. But you said kicked out. I was like, what?
No,
what
no. He wasn't kicked out. He was removed from the
Point
final
standing
of these playoffs.
Yeah,
just because he finished in the worst. So we're gonna go down and grab John Theodore. If one of you gentlemen like to interview Mr. Theodore, I have to go use the restroom real quick. But John Theodore, I'm gonna pull him in here, and we're gonna get a quick interview with the 89 and see how he feels about making it into these playoffs in the very last race in the final round before Homestead. John Theodore, you got a copy, buddy?
I do indeed. How you guys doing?
Let us know. Did you plan to make the final 4 or what?
I mean, that's always what you try to do. Yeah, I came into tonight with that was the plan. The race didn't exactly go according to plan, but it worked out in the end. So definitely happy with it. Definitely didn't think I'd be sitting here with a ticket to Homestead when I started with you guys after 4 races were already completed in the season for sure.
Well, it was a hell of a race. I mean, we didn't even pay attention to Husted and Burrows. It was definitely between you, Johnson, and Harmon, and it finished better than any of us could have imagined. How do you feel going into Homestead next week, man?
I got to do a lot of practice. Look. The reality is that Burrows and Husted are class of the field right now, so I got my work cut out to catch up to them in terms of speed and have what it takes to really compete with them for a win. But I'm gonna do my best and put in work over the next few days to try to do it. I'm gonna run as many of those full length NIS Homestead races as I can.
Well, you did an awesome job out there at the end. Just don't know, man. It was just a mess back there in the back, and how you got through it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of kept my cool and just tried to pick it apart, not panic, because I knew that I had laps left. And then as the laps started winding down, it was go time. So I started getting a little bit more aggressive. I knew I needed to get that spot on the 68. So little bit of contact. I felt like it was a racing deal, but it was definitely elbows out for sure.
Yeah, you did an awful hard job trying to get around him. He was not making it easy for you. But then on that last restart with 3 to go, I mean, that was just an absolute mess.
The caution. Well, the cautions tonight didn't do us any favors for sure because, I pitted basically right on strategy, and then that first caution came out, and that pinned us a lap down, but we got the lucky dog to get back. So that was what put us behind the 68 initially. And then that last caution I definitely didn't want to see. But that final restart, I was on it best I could. Then I saw the 55 spinning, so I cut low, and somehow the 68 got to my outside, which I would always prefer to have the outside going through 3 and 4 if you're side by side, and he managed to get clear of me. So I almost thought my championship was done at that point. And then when I hit the wall off 2 the next time trying to stay with him in the 98, I thought it was really done. I was lucky that didn't do any X's because I was still on a 0X and I needed those 2 bonus points. And then when the 98 and the 68 got together, I was like, all right, that if I can just get past one of them, then that punches my ticket for sure.
Yeah, well, you got past both of them, so nice job there at the end. And yeah. I think Ryan Hesgard stepped away. Martin, you got anything for him?
No, I was just gonna say the whole that whole end there. What was your strategy going in there? I mean, did you know that you had no incident points? Were you worried about that? Were you thinking about because it was we were up here just doing the math, and when you were behind Harmon and you were trying to get past him, you guys I think were in a I think you were in a tie. But if you had passed him but gotten instant points, you still would have been in a tie. You just would have been ahead of him now, but you would still been in the tie. So were you thinking about any of that? Did you know any of that? Or were you just trying to finish ahead of him?
I didn't. So I knew that I think the bonus for incident points is 2, and I came in 1 point behind him. So I think I was actually in front of him when I was behind him by a point, because he would have been gaining 1 point, but I had 2.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy to think about. But he was
a
point ahead of you coming in, I think, to the race. So it was.
Oh right,
and he had laps
in a tie.
You were literally tied.
Yeah, you were all tied. You were tied with those with the bonus points for being clean. You were tied because you both had laps led. He was and you were behind him, but because you had those 2 bonus points, you then tied with him.
We were just wondering if you thought about the wall at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I knew that I needed to get past him, and I knew that I knew that I needed to try to keep that 0x if I wanted to. I'm always thinking about trying to, like, every race. That was my approach the whole season, because I started out with four I was 4 races behind everyone else. So every race I just kind of approached it the same way, which is get the most points possible, just maximize my points through the whole thing.
Funnily enough, you, Hunter Johnson, and Thomas Harmon all joined a little bit later, but missed a few races at the beginning of the season, and ended up right on top of each other competing there.
Y'all came out to fight for it at the end. Theodore, you said a couple races ago you just wanted to finish top 5 in these last few races. I mean, how important was tonight? How do you feel? I know the DRL. Listen, we're not NASCAR. This isn't the Monster Energy Cup Series, but what is it like to make it in the top 4 of the Dynasty Racing League in the Cup Series? That's obviously the highest level of competition here in the DRL.
I mean, it's huge, and like I said that when I talked to you guys after I made it into this round, I said I felt like if I got top 5 all the way through the round, that would get me through to Homestead, and it turned out to be right on the money. I got 5th, 4th, and 4th in the 3 races in this round, and that was enough.
Well, it's not going to be enough going into next week, because I know that Burrows is going to race his heart out. I know that Husted's going to race his heart out. Obviously, Hunter Johnson's proven himself the last few weeks, and he gave those front drivers a run for their money. You've been a consistent top 5 driver, but you never really breaking out and gotten a win here at the DRL. Go out there and get some practice, man. I hope to see you running in that top 4 next week at Homestead, and I hope you can really show us what you got. And I can't wait to see you race throughout this winter series and coming into next year. Let's hear the shout outs before we let you go tonight.
Yeah, 10-4, man. Definitely shout out to Corey Bush. Shout out to my folks. I know they were watching. They're celebrating right now. And a few shout outs: Warren D53, Prebin T, G Benson 208 for the bits, Broncos as well. Thank you. We had some new subs as well tonight. 88 for him. Nerve Bullets. Hope I haven't missed anyone. I think that was it. So thank you guys very much. And shout out as well to you guys in the booth and to Race Control. You guys have done an awesome job with the broadcasting and Race Control calling things all season long. So I'm going to go get some practice, and I'm going to bring my A game to Homestead and do my best to try to make it, make a play for the championship. We'll see.
Race Control, I know, tries to make it as fair as possible. Again, congrats on 4th tonight. Congrats on making it into that top 4 going in the Homestead. And we'll see you next week, man. Go out there and get him, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Have a wonderful night.
You too.
That is John Theodore, our 4th place finisher for the season. We're going to go down and interview Jim Westerfield, who finishes in the 5th spot. Not in this playoff picture, however. Jim Westerfield, his very first top 5 in the Dynasty Racing League. Let's welcome Jim Westerfield. You get a copy, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Hey, your very first top 5 in the Dynasty Racing League. How are you feeling after this race tonight?
Pretty good.
So you come out, you started in the 11th position. A lot of stuff happening, huge playoff implications on the line here tonight. How are you able to keep your cool out there on the track?
Yeah, I was definitely keeping an eye on where I was racing and where the playoff guys were. I didn't want to mess neither of them guys up, that's for sure. Got in that early wreck, so it made it for a long race, that's for sure.
Yeah, still able to come away, capture a top 5. You going to be joining us for the Winter Series coming up here soon?
Yep, I'm looking forward to that, and definitely looking forward to running full time in the Cup Series next year and going to Homestead hopefully next.
Yes, sir. There's definitely a lot of guys to fight through. We've had some crazy finishes and definitely an awesome end to the season here. Next week at Homestead's going to determine everything. But, even if somebody like yourself, I mean, how do you feel about Homestead? You going to come out and grab a win next week or what?
Definitely gonna try, but same thing as this race. I'm not gonna ruin any of their chances to winning a championship. I'll just take the positions as I can get them. That's for sure.
Well, congratulations again, Jim. I hope that we can interview you moving forward. I hope we can interview you next week with another top 5, and I hope we can interview you during the Winter Series. And can't wait to see what you got for us next year, man. Congrats again on the top 5. Let's hear any shout outs you got for anybody tonight.
I appreciate it. Mainly all you guys that run this league. It's a very well-run league, and my teammates Josh Mayhew and Matthew George, who hasn't been able to show up recently, but yeah, I just appreciate everything you guys do.
Well, thank you, sir. You have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week at Miami.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. Well, guys, that is it for this evening. Thank you so much to all of our viewers for tuning in tonight. It was an absolute pleasure. We had at the peak number of drivers we have had watching a Dynasty Racing League broadcast throughout the season. 52 people were watching at one point tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to broadcast for all of you guys. Thank you so much for showing up, seeing really what the DRL has to give. I mean, tonight's race really just proves the level of competition here in the Dynasty Racing League, how close it can be. We only had a couple cautions here tonight. I've seen more in almost every peak race throughout the season, which is an official series for iRacing TV. I hope that in the future that Dynasty Racing League can be the premier series of iRacing. That's definitely what we're shooting for. Thanks again to all the viewers for tuning in. Thanks for cheering on your favorite driver. We have 4 drivers left for the last race of the season. That is Wade Husted, Anthony Burrows, Hunter Johnson, and John Theodore. Those are the final 4 drivers in this Cup Series, the highest level of competition in the DRL. I'm going to show you, obviously, the next broadcast period will be tomorrow night at Texas Motor Speedway. David Wellborn, you will be bringing that with Jason Taylor tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's going to be at Texas in that truck series. Me and Martin will be racing in that one. And then the next race of this series, Homestead, Miami, the Miami 200. That will be a 1.5 mile track, 133 laps next Tuesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern broadcast. Me and Martin will probably come live about 9:20 or so. That will be the final race of the season and will determine the championship here in the DRL Cup Series. I can't wait for it. Credits we're going to run through. James Pandoff and Tater Bowman, thank you so much for owning the league and keeping everything as clean as possible and really supporting all the pools that these guys race for, the winners standings. The reason these guys come out and race every week, it's a big camaraderie here. We all race together every week. Everyone helps each other out, and we all come out here. It's like a big brotherhood. It's amazing being part of the Dynasty Racing League. Martin and Jordan, with all the graphics that you guys see on the screen here tonight. David Wellborn, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Getty Buckner, Jason Taylor, James Pandoff, all the guys that do the broadcasts Sunday through Wednesday. And then obviously Eric Weatherholtz, thank you for jumping on board last year with that Indy series, and then this year already in this Winter Series with the Pro Series that we run on Sunday nights. That's brought to you by James Pandoff. That's on again at 9:30 on Sunday nights, 9:30 Eastern. So, and again, David, Martin, thank you guys for joining me in the booth this evening. That was one hell of a race. What are you guys thinking?
I don't know what to think, but I definitely going to be looking forward to tomorrow night's race. It's going to be crunch thing again all over. So, ladies and gentlemen, please tune in for the truck race.
Yeah, the truck race is going to be fun, and I mean, this is definitely. I don't think I could ask for any better to end the regular season of the Cup Series. It's definitely been fun to watch. So, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Martin, you got anything else for the viewers before we sign out of here tonight?
Jim Westerfield needs to finish better than 5th. I got a 4th place finish in that 4 car, so Well, let's get that at Homestead.
That's right. Martin sporting that number 4 in the truck series. Jim.
Hey, I got 4th place at Darlington last year. So
there you go. I know
he only got 5th in the 4th, so he needs to get one better here.
Well, that was his first top 5. He's new to the DRL, and I'm sure he's going to continue to try to improve from here. So let's keep it going. Thanks again to the viewers for tuning in. You guys all have a wonderful evening.